Danny Rohl had a lot of big decisions to make with his team at Fir Park, and I was basically just kind of making the point. He's obviously had a lot of praise and plaudits, not quite rightly so, for getting Rangers, for sorting Rangers out basically and getting them back into this title race. I think the job he's done has been excellent in the main, but last night felt like a big one, and I was just making the point that on a title run in, you need to go full throttle. You need to go with your best possible team, and to me, that meant playing the guys that were signed in January, to ultimately try and help Rangers win the title. And honestly, Daniel, when the team sheet dropped at Fir Park last night, I mean, I thought it was like an old team sheet. I had to look again because I couldn't believe that Romans, Nadiri, Skov Olsen, Fernandez, even who's not a new signing but was back from injury, I couldn't believe any of those players weren't starting, and it just felt from Danny Rohl like a big gamble, and it didn't pay off. I thought he got it wrong. Look, he's got most things right since he's taken the job, but I felt as if last night he got it wrong. I thought the team was wrong. I thought even the substitutions were wrong. I couldn't quite understand it near the end. Against 10 men, like putting Asgard and Mahovsky and that on, it just didn't feel right. Rangers actually struggled against 10 men in the game. Motherwell were always the team that looked like getting the equaliser. So it's obviously a bad night for Rangers. And then, as well as all that, I thought even off the pitch, some of Danny Rohl's comments, and I've been looking at social media and that today, kind of fan reaction, and I think he's probably got one or two of those wrong as well. I mean, to suggest that before the game he'd have maybe taken a draw, I don't think any Rangers manager going to Fir Park to play Motherwell should ever say that. I don't think that's ever going to be acceptable in the eyes of the fans. And there was just a kind of, it was as if he maybe didn't realise the kind of the seriousness of how big a dent that could be to this title bid. Obviously, with Hearts coming up on Sunday, because it goes without saying now, Rangers 5 points behind. I mean, he was kind of a wee bit reluctant last night to say it was win or bust, but it is. I mean, if Hearts come to Ibrox and win on Sunday, the league's over for Rangers. They're no recovering for 8 points behind, and that's not to mention the psychological damage it would do if Hearts came and won at Ibrox again. So I thought it was a bad night for Rangers. And the other thing, just again off the pitch, I don't know what you think of this actually. I mean, we all know how well Motherwell have played this season. We know their style. They know how they go about it. Been full of praise for Ascow. That's fine. But I mean, ultimately, Rangers are still higher in the league than them. Ultimately, you need to say Rangers have had a better season until this point because they've got more points than them. But for Danny Rohl and James Tavernier to come out after the game and basically just put their hands up and say, look, we came here knowing we'd have to give up possession. I don't get that for a Rangers manager and a Rangers captain. I mean, I'm sorry. I know how good Motherwell have been. As I say, we know about the style of play. But should Rangers, having spent, 30, 40 million quid on signings, really be going to Fir Park and just saying, look, we know yous are better than us on the ball, so we'll let you have it and we'll try and play in the counter-attack? I just thought it was all wrong last night for Rangers, and a really poor night, and they were probably lucky to get out of there at a point.
We've got tons of comments coming in along the same line, Scott. Let me throw a few of them at you and see what you guys think. Scott goes as far as saying, if Rangers lose to Hearts, Rohl's job's on a sugary peg. Marzuno says, just when I praised him through gritted teeth, saying he would take a draw before the game, he will never live that down. Derek says, shocking lineup from Rohl, taking an attacker off 2 and putting on an extra centre-back against 10 men. The results have been good, but the performance is 50-50. Daz says, Rohl's managerial experience has been showing recently. It doesn't bode well. However, there is some support for the Rangers manager. McKinnon says, Rohl's done really well. Shouldn't have been considered a sugary peg. I think Rangers will improve again if they stick with him. And Ali says, calm down. Wee Danny's way ahead of the game. Beating Hearts is more important than last night.
Look, Daniel, mean, Danny Rohl, that's ridiculous to suggest Danny Rohl's
Aye.
a sugary peg, right? We're just talking about that one game, and as I say, he's done a lot of things right at Rangers, but last night wasn't his best night. And Rangers managers in the other thing he got wrong, I thought, post match was talking about his team selection and basically saying he had one eye on Sunday and he had to think about the two games, close to each other. Basically suggesting I was keeping Skov Olsen and Nadiri and Romans and that for the Hearts game. I'm sorry, but first of all, it's a bit hypocritical because managers, including Danny Rohl, are constantly telling us in press conferences, you take every game as it comes, one game at a time, you deal with that game and then move on to the next one. That's always the mantra. So he veered away from that if he's suggesting that he had one eye on Hearts on Sunday. So it was a bad night, as I say. To suggest his job's in any danger is ludicrous. I still do think Danny Rohl's a really good manager, and I think he's the right man for Rangers at the minute. But that kind of stuff, resting players, leaving guys out, trying to manage loads, I think is what they call it now. That's cost Rangers managers in the past. I think about Philippe Clement, get paid the price for that as well at times. Rangers had to go full throttle in this run-in. And last night, when you looked at that team, like say Gassama, for instance, who has contributed very little of late, did nothing last night in the game. Shamite, again, £8 million striker. I don't know how long we can talk about it, but he misses a gilt-edged chance, as he has done in other big games for Rangers already this season. Didn't do enough. And there are others in that team. I thought Roman should have started ahead of Magoma. I thought Magoma didn't have his best game either last night. So, look, all in all, it was a bad night for Rangers. But what I will say is I thought going to Fir Park would be a really difficult game for them. I thought at home to Hearts on Sunday, they would be maybe more likely to get a win. And I actually do think Rangers are winning Sunday, basically because they have to. As I said before, if they lose it, the title's gone. I think they can forget it. So it was always going to be a difficult game, but I think deep down when Danny Rohl looks back on it and reflects on it, I think he might have a few regrets over the team selection, the performance, and maybe even a couple of things he said afterwards.